Hi, my name is John Suzuki. Thank you for joining us for our very first episode of our Finding Better podcast. I am thrilled that you're here and scared to death at the very same time because I've never done this before, and I really hope you like it. So, Finding Better is a place that you can come to hear stories and experiences of how others have found better in their lives, so that you can too. We're going to talk about finding better jobs, finding better friends, better careers, better money, better relationships, better health, all kinds of things, all of it. And um, the thing that makes Finding Better, this podcast, so special is that it's all about experiences. It's not about theories. It's not about opinions. It's about experiences of people who have been there and done that. Now, I was having a conversation one day with a very good friend of mine that got a little bit warm. And I finally turned to him and I said, David, do you want my opinion on this or not? And he said, no, I don't. And I looked at him and I said, boy, that's kind of rude. And he says, no, John, listen, I could care less about your opinions, but I'll listen to your experiences all day long. And I thought to myself, now there is a voice of reason. And the whole idea is he wants to hear about my experiences, having been there and done that. And that's how he learns. And so that really stuck with me. And so Finding Better is all about experiences. Now, I've been asked to tell you that we do have a YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel. It's called Finding Better Podcast. And so if you go there and you want to stay on top of all the things that we're doing and the latest podcasts, you can subscribe to that channel. I'm also on most of the major podcast platforms. And so I should be pretty easy to find. But anyway, our podcasts will be short and some of them will be long. The short ones might be 8 to 10 minutes long. That'll be mostly about me talking. But when I have a guest, we may go 20, 30 minutes, maybe even longer. I mean, if we're jamming and we're entertaining and we're providing you great information, we'll go as long as we need to. And so the whole idea here is to help make your life better in ways that you want your life to be better. And, people have asked me, lots of friends of mine have asked me, John, why are you doing this? I believe that we all share a common purpose. You and I, we share a common purpose, and that is to make the world better than the day we landed on it. Because I believe that a better you and a better me and a better of us lifts the world. And it really does make the world better. And, about 10 years ago, when my daughter was about 20 years old, she came up to me and she said, Dad, you know what? You need to do a podcast. And I said, what's a podcast and why do I need to do one? She says, you have given us and our friends so much great information and so much great advice over the years, and the world needs to hear from you. And I said, who in the world is going to want to listen to anything I have to say? And she says, Dad, I don't know, but as long as you have you stuck in your head, people who need to reach you and learn from you won't be able to get to you. So do your podcast and give it to the universe, so that people who need to find you will be able to have a place to go. And so I said, give it to the universe. Okay, I can do that. I can do that. And here we are. And so you fast forward 10 years to today. I don't know if you agree with me, but our world is messed up. It has gone crazy with so many bad things happening. And I call them epidemics. Forget COVID, but we are dealing with epidemics today of loneliness and drug addictions and mental illness. And there's so much hate and division and vitriol. It's just become such a mean world. And we're being overwhelmed and overdosed with bad information. I don't know about you, but I don't know what information I can trust these days. And in addition to that, we're also being overwhelmed with messages of inadequacy. And social media, as wonderful a tool as it's been, also has been a terrible thing that has turned a lot of our heads inside out, right? And one thing that I've realized is that there's two things in common in all of this. They want your money, or they want your envy and attention. And here's how it works. You can't be happy unless you buy my product. You can't be complete unless you use my service. You can't be admired unless you look like me or you do what I do. And seriously, right? But there's so much of it out there, and we start to believe it. The bottom line is life is not fair, and life is tough enough, and everybody wants something from you, right? So here at the Finding Better podcast, nobody wants your money. Nobody wants your admiration. Nobody, right? And nobody here feels like you're going to be happy because of things you buy from us or because you're like us. None of that. We don't care about likes. We don't care about followers. You know, in my day, I'm 62 years old. In my day, followers were akin to stalkers. And so, you know, I mean, I get that followers are a good thing these days, but what we want to do is we just want to share and give back and help make the world better. That might sound really Pollyannish and all that stuff, but it's true. You know, I talk about giving back. I believe that we all have three careers. All of us. The first career is to learn and go to school. The second career is to earn a living for yourself and your family. And the third career is to return and give back. Now, each of these careers are roughly 30 years in length, right? And they overlap. I get that. And, you know, we do a lot of the things in each career and a lot of the other parts of our times in our life. But, you know, I'm entering my third 30 years of my life. And for the rest of my life, I just want to help. I want to help others. I have lived such a blessed life, and I've been so fortunate. And I'd love anybody who would like to live a life like mine to be able to live a life like mine. And so what Finding Better is, it's, you know, call it your virtual mentor network, right? And we're gonna offer you our life experiences. So a few things to know as we move together. The first, and I want you to write this down because this is very, very important. And I want you to keep this for the rest of your life if you want to. Your life, your choice. Okay? 4 words. Your life, your choice. Now, my experience has been that my life is the product largely of the decisions and choices that I've made. Now, I've had some people push back on me and say, no, John, that's just, you're just oversimplifying it. You know, there's so many more circumstances involved, and call it fate or whatever, bad luck. I get that, right? But here's the thing. Moving forward, we want to help you find better. We want to help you design and build a life with people around you that you can love and a life that you can love, right? Well, that involves making choices and decisions in that direction, right? So if you buy into that and if you agree with that, why wouldn't that principle apply to your life up until today? That the product of your life today has been largely based on the decisions and the choices that you've made. So, you know, it's all in your control. It's all in your control. Your life, your choice. Now, some things that we share are going to be simple, and some things that we share are going to take a little bit more discipline and maybe a little bit more work. But that's okay, because anything worth achieving takes a little effort, right? That's okay. Make those decisions to go in those directions. If you have a life experience yourself that you'd like to share, that you think could help others, I would love to hear from you. Okay. And I'd love to have you on my podcast, because this is all about learning. I would love to learn from you, right? Some experiences that you've had that have made your life better. Now, I want to end this with a few takeaways. And I want to share some of the things that I've lived by, some of the, call them rules that I've lived by, that have really served me well, that you may wish to consider incorporating into your own life. I have like 10, but I'm just going to share like 2 or 3 of them with you. So the first one is never deal with unpleasant people. Let me repeat that. Never deal with unpleasant people. Life is just too short. Now, I've been in sales for over 50 years, and I've lived by this principle for about 40 of them. And people have asked me, John, how can you do that? You're in sales. How can you not deal with unpleasant people? Like I said, life is too short, and unpleasant people suck the energy and spirit out of me. And I have to protect my spirit. And I encourage you to do everything you can to 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 really, really protect yourself, right? Not only physically, but mentally and emotionally. And cutting bad people and unpleasant people out of your life is one way to do that. And I will tell you that the minute you start doing this and not dealing with unpleasant people, I've even fired clients because they were unpleasant. And it just lifts all this stress and energy. It just becomes liberating, and it's a wonderful thing. So think about that. Never deal with unpleasant people. Number 2, always be honest. Honesty is not negotiable. That's my view. Now, I get it. It can be really hard to be honest all the time, but the good news is that the more honest you are and the more often you are honest, the easier that it gets. And I don't know about you, but I am not smart enough to keep track of all the things that I'm dishonest about. So I just do everything I can to be honest about everything, because when you're honest, you don't have to worry about anything catching up to you, right? Which leads me to number 3. Honesty is directly related to a thing called karma. Now, yes, karma can be a beep. It can be an absolute beep, right? I'm not going to use profanity on my podcast because young people might be listening. Little people might be listening. But anyway, not only can it be a beep, but it can also be a really great friend, maybe the best friend you ever have. And, the fact of the matter is, karma is defined as what comes around goes around, right? You do bad things, guess what's going to come back at you? Bad things. But you know what? If you do good things, guess what's going to come back at you? Good things. And I'm going to talk about this. I've got an incredible story, an incredible experience that I'm going to talk about in a future episode about my experience, my personal experience with karma. And it's just going to blow your mind, right? So never deal with unpleasant people, always be honest, and honor karma. So moving forward, we're going to do our very best to give you our very best. And you know what? Every episode of Finding Better might not apply to you, but every episode of Finding Better will apply to somebody. So please feel free to share Finding Better with your friends and family, because if they get even one good idea from our time together that they can apply to their life, it's all worth it for both of us. And so it's all good. It's all good. I'm excited. We're going to do a lot of wonderful and fair and fun things together. Thanks for joining me. And please join me again for another episode on Finding Better, where we will help you, at least we want to help you, find the better in your life that you're looking for. Thanks again for joining me. See you next time.